Hello, this week we're going to continue looking at biomechanics, and we're going to start out by considering some postural considerations, and this first set are contained in your textbook, and so you can look at the textbook for further explanation. First of all, we have to consider that the body is subject to gravity, and we want to know, is gravity causing any ill effects biomechanically? And so looking at the support surface, we consider two cases, one the case of distributed pressure, and secondly the case of undistributed pressure. And by that I'm meaning, are you pinpointing the loading, is it being supported by gravity at a pinpoint, so one point in space, or is it distributed throughout the entire size of the object? For example, last week when we were looking at basic biomechanics, we would center the weight of an object, whether it were a box, whether it were a body segment, whether it were a shovel, we would pinpoint it at the object's center of gravity in order to run our calculations. And so we know that if we created a force equal but opposite to that weight pinpointed at the center of gravity, we can hold an object up in space. So we're counteracting the effects of gravity by holding it at that one point, the center of gravity. Well, in real life, we know that the weight of the object is distributed across the entire surface of the object, and so I'll refer to this as distributed pressure. This, for example, if you're lying down on the ground or lying on a floor or lying in your bed, the weight of your body is distributed throughout your body so that there's no one point in space that's pinching or compressing or supporting your body weight. And so in a case such as this, gravity has little effect. Your muscles really don't feel it, your body's not feeling it because the weight is distributed across a large area. Similarly, sitting passively on a chair, although the surface area is reduced, for example, the seat pan is supporting your buttocks, your upper legs, but it's across a large surface area again. So again, there's very little ill effects. Typically, your chair back is also supporting your back, and maybe your chair arms are supporting your arms, and so the weight is distributed over a large area. Gravity's not having much ill effect. Even if you have an unsupported body segment, for example, if you don't have armrests in your chair, if your arms are simply hanging, there's again very little muscular effort, very little ill effects due to gravity. Your arm weight is supported mainly passively by joint tissue, by joint ligaments, so that your arms aren't falling on the floor. So your muscles don't have to actively work to support your arm against gravity. Okay, so that's a distributed pressure. In the other case, undistributed pressure, in these cases gravity can have an ill effect on the body. And this is mainly due to contact stress in relation to your body parts coming into contact with a sharp edge or a sharp surface that pinpoints the effect of gravity. For example, my first case here, the tip of your elbow on your desk. If you're resting your elbow on your desk, we know that you initially put it on, you can feel it. It's a little bit painful, you're aware. If you continue to rest your elbow on the desk over a long term, you might even be compressing your ulnar nerve and develop cubital tunnel syndrome, for example. And so this hard surface can have an ill effect due to gravity pulling your arm down towards the ground. In instances such as that, we look at can we soften this sharp edge? Can we distribute some of the pressure from that one little pinpoint pressure? Similarly, kneeling on the ground, we know that our body weight flows through our knees, and so kneeling on the ground with any support or padding, it's kind of painful for our knees. Well, we can add give an employee knee pads that they can strap onto their legs, strap onto their knees. We can give them kneeling pads that they place on the floor to try to distribute some of this pressure. Similarly, we can use the same concept in maybe some unexpected cases. This first picture I have here shows a person carrying a ladder on top of their shoulder, and and you're looking at, well, why are they carrying it on top of their shoulder? Well, they're thinking of, I don't have to carry it in my arms or free my arms. I don't have to use my arm muscles to actively support this load and cause some arm fatigue, so it doesn't feel as bad on my body. And that's true. You carry it on your shoulder, so you don't have to actively hold it or support the weight. However, it creates, your shoulder has very little soft tissue, very little tissues on top of, very little padding on top of your shoulder. It's pretty bony if you feel up on top of your shoulder, and so that's some direct contact stress right there. And so this picture shows, hard to see a little bit, but they've padded this area below the top of this top of the ladder. Okay, so we can use padding to help distribute the pressure. Similarly, and I said that if you're laying down, you have your body weight distributed across the larger area, and that's true in this case. Somebody working underneath, for example, an airplane or the hull of a ship or something. The body weight is distributed, but some of these surfaces have sharp contacts. The edge here, some of them have parts sticking out, and so again, if we can pad it to distribute take some of the direct pressure off, that helps. So we can counteract the effects of any undistributed pressure, gravity effects. Last week, our last example problem that you did for homework, you looked at a person leaning over. And so that was looking at some postural considerations. If a person is leaning over biomechanically, what effect does that have? Your book describes this example where you compare somebody working at elbow height, and we've said that elbow height is a good thing, that it causes less stress on the body. But this compares what happens if you're working too low. Too low in that case, a low work surface. We can bring in our simple sum of the moments equation equals 0. In this case, we have the loading of the body, so loading of the torso, the head, and the arms, and we can call that the hat area. So we have that loading at a distance away from the lower spine, so the dot. That loading, L times dl, has to be counteracted, has to be balanced by the muscles in the back of your spine, so that's the same problem we did last time, at a distance away from your lower back center rotation. So our simplified moment equation is our muscular effort times the distance from the effort to our low back minus the load. In this case, our body weight above our lower back times its distance from our low back. Those are equal to 0. And we can see that as we increase dl, we bend further and further over, E has to get larger and larger. So our muscles have to work harder and harder. And so working over a low surface, bending over, does create high muscular effort. E gets larger. So staying flexed, in addition to E getting larger, staying flexed, the ill effect is it does increase joint compression. E gets larger, meaning your muscle is contracting more. It's putting more pressure on your low back joint. Since this muscle is contracted, it stays contracted to hold your posture. It decreases blood circulation. Since the muscle stays contracted, if you keep holding something, your muscle's going to get fatigued, and so it increases muscle discomfort. And so overall, working on a low work surface is a bad thing. What about working on a high work surface, as in case C? Is that bad for the body? In this case, your textbook instead looks at, provides an example of what is it doing to the effort of the shoulder. And so the effort of the shoulder, the muscular effort of the shoulder, E, is used to counterbalance the weight of your upper arm segment and your lower arm segment. So load 1 and load 2. Those you can see are each at a distance away from the shoulder joint. Using our sum of our moments equals 0, the muscular effort E at a distance dE from the center of the shoulder joint has to balance the load of the upper arm times the distance between the center of gravity of the upper arm and the distance from the center of rotation of the shoulder. And it also has to balance the weight of the lower arm, L2, times its distance away from the shoulder joint, D2. And so the effects of reaching forward, further and further forward, are to increase this E. So your shoulder muscle has to work harder and harder. So using that basic setup, that's just to hold your body weight. But what happens if you throw a tool into the equation also? You're, for example, holding a drill in this example in your textbook. The muscles of your shoulder have to counteract the rotation due to your upper arm weight and your lower arm weight, as seen in the previous picture, plus the drill weight. And so we're looking at if your muscular effort of your shoulder, that black arrow, is contracting, which one, A, B, or C, which posture minimizes your shoulder muscle effort? Is it better to hold the tool close to your body, a medium distance away, or a farther distance away? Running the numbers, crunching the numbers, your book provides that in case A, the muscular effort of the muscular effort of your shoulder creates a moment at your shoulder of 13 Newton meters. In case B, 21, case C, 29, and we can see numerically that case A is the best for your shoulder muscle. Okay. So to minimize shoulder effort, hold the load close to your body whenever you're working ahead. Now you're probably telling me, well, safety considerations, you can see the drill is real close to his face, you can see that it's causing bad wrist posture, and so on and so on. So yes, you do have other considerations, but if we're looking at simply effort of the shoulder, because working overhead is so hard on your body, we would need to go with case A to minimize muscular effort. Okay, so again, all these examples are provided in your book. You can read through read through these cases to help understand the postural considerations of biomechanics.